Hello guys. So I was playing Oblivion Remastered, the game that came out last year, and we all know the performance is very shitty. So I was like, I can't play like this. Like it's very unplayable, especially with my system. I would say like mid-range to low-end kind of system. Um, we have a we have a Ryzen 5 3600 with 16 gigs of 3600 megahertz RAM and a an RTX 5060, 8 gigabyte. Well, if we follow the Steam page, Oblivion Remastered requirements, we could see that in this kind of system, we're already like above minimum requirements for the graphics card and also for the CPU, and we're about the same as the RAM. In recommended, we're slightly below the CPU requirement, and for the graphics card, I would say the 5060 is weaker than the 2080. And the VRAM difference is what makes it worse in general in this game, because this game is a VRAM hog. I mean, we already know that. So I was looking around. I checked the Nexus page for Oblivion Remastered, if there's any mods that could help with the shitty performance overall. And the first one that came out was this Ultimate Engine tweaks for Unreal Engine 5. Now it says lossless, so I would assume you don't lose any graphical fidelity with this. You only gain performance changes, as you can see here. This must be before, and the other one must be after. He went from 60 FPS to 100 with more GPU usage from this screenshot here. But in this guy's system, he's obviously using a much powerful system than mine, especially on the CPU side. So we're gonna try that on my system. Now, I already did install this mod and did some other things as well, like updating the DLSS for the game. I actually updated the whole DLSS for the whole computer, like any game that would utilize DLSS, I updated the DLLs. So to basically update this thing, they ask you to use this NVIDIA DLSS GLOM. You could do it manually by updating the DLLs, but using this software, you could just update the whole DLSS thing automatically, and it updates everything all by itself. So I'll walk you through this. Basically, you'll need to go to I'll leave you the links in the description. You need to get this DLSS GLOM, this red one, and just extract and stuff, And then you would want to get this one here, which is called the NVIDIA Profile Inspector. Now you could just search this up and you'll find it. You could I'll leave you the link in the description as usual. So let's get started. I left these in tools right here, NVIDIA DLSS GLOM. So we'll start with DLSS GLOM. Go in. Oh, you have to run this as admin, by the way. So make sure this is ticked, run this program as administrator, or just right click and run this program as administrator. Here we are. Make sure these two here are ticked, and then download from server. It should take a while, about 2 minutes or 3. So once it's done, it's gonna say download successful, and all of this should be like that. Processing okay for all of them, and you'll see there's certain versions that have been updated. We have DLSS override version 310.6, 310.6 for all of these, and then you can just close this one. Now in the guide in here it says, just for good measure, you should run this again as admin and do the whole process again. Download from server. I already did this, so I'm not gonna do this again. Now I'm gonna move on to Profile Inspector. Oh, it's already open here. Now for Profile Inspector, it's a bit tricky because depending on the game you want to update the DLSS for. Now I'm gonna search up DLSS. Here we go. As you can see, all these white ones, these white highlighted ones, I have changed for my DLSS on global settings. So let's say you only want to change DLSS for a certain game. For me, it's Oblivion. I could just search Oblivion in the profile and select Oblivion Remastered. And then I could change which ones I want for the game. And this way, if you want to only change DLSS for one certain game, the reasons why you might want to do this is, let's say you have a game that you play and that certain game runs or has a better DLSS implementation on older versions rather than newer DLSS versions. Like, let's say I think Red Dead Redemption is one of those games that works better with older DLSS versions rather than newer ones. Or if I remember correctly, it doesn't work with DLSS that well anyway. So you get what I mean. For me, I'm just gonna do global settings, overriding the whole DLSS for my whole games. So depending on your card, if we follow the guide over here, go down here, it's gonna say for RTX 2000 and 3000 series, you'll have to change these things. And since I have a 5000 series card, you'll have to follow this guide here. Now, this is all just personal preference. Like, you could mess around with this and do your testing, and that way you'll find which works best for you. Also, correct me if I'm wrong, because this is like my first time doing this. And from what I understand, you could just mess around with it and see what works. Now, for me, since I have a 5000 card, I have set DLSS. Also, you have to set this on enabled on both cards anyway, on both, I mean, on all generations of RTX cards. So we have enabled DLL override on with the version, the latest version 3.10.6. DLSS force model preset profile custom. And then we have DLSS force preset letter. We have preset L transformer Gen 2, which is a 5000 series and 4000 series DLSS. We have enabled DLL override for FrameGen. We have to enable that as well for the version we updated. And then we have FG force preset letter. It is recommended to use preset B on the guide. And then we have DLSS RR, I guess means refresh rate. Works for VRR and stuff. Just keep this on, or actually put this on because it's often default. And then use the transformer Gen 1, which is preset E. And then you have another setting, which is shader. There we go. We have shader cache enabled and shader cache size as 10 GB. This is also just personal preference, but I've seen a guide way long ago that says 10 GB is about the middle ground for all of this, like shader cache and size. And then we have shader cache precompiled shader options. Put this on medium, which is mentioned on the guide. After all of this is done, you just apply the settings on top right here, and then you could leave the profile inspector. Now, for the mod for Oblivion Remastered, if you want, you could use this one. It is totally safe. It's not going to break your game or anything. Depends on the scenario, really, because reading one of their FAQ here, you could see how this works. Like, there's some interesting questions, like your game crashing and stuff. You gotta make sure your PC is stable before installing this mod. And if you don't notice any noticeable performance improvement, then your PC must be too high end for this, because it is mentioned here that if your PC is too high end, then what is it? Yeah, well, anyway, as long as you read the FAQ, you're gonna be fine. Just do some reading before you install the mod. I already installed this. It should be self-explanatory for anyone who wants to install it. It's literally right here. The way you want to install it, like, just read this and do that. Now we'll jump to the game. Now, because once I overrided the DLSS version for the game just started looking much better. with some higher DLSS presets. Like I used to play with DLSS quality on the game, or DLSS DLAA, and those worked just fine for me. Like didn't look bad. Once I used like performance or balanced, the game didn't look that good, so I settled down on using quality preset or DLAA with FrameGen enabled. So here's our graphical settings. We have 1080p full screen, uncapped frame limit. Down here we have motion blur off and screen space reflections off. I personally prefer these off. When I put them on, there's some graphical glitches around the water, so I prefer to keep this off. For the preset, I have used high preset with medium textures because of our 8GB of VRAM, which is holding us back on this game. I used to play with low, and after the engine tweaks, the mod that I installed, the VRAM usage got a bit lower, so I bumped these up to medium textures. We have Lumen software RT quality to low and hardware ray tracing off. For DLSS, we have DLSS on and DLSS mode as performance. Now, I'm gonna put this back to DLAA, which is native. DLAA is usually more intensive than TAA, and it looks better as well, depending on the game, usually. So, and we have NVIDIA Reflex on. I might just disable this at some point. I don't think it makes that much a difference. From my personal experience, I don't think this makes much difference, honestly. I'll apply settings and jump right into a save. So here we are in the game. The performance is miserable. It's stuttering a lot, and my MSI Afterburner UI is a bit glitched right now. Okay, now it's back to normal. So these normal stutters when you first join the game, those are because of some shader pre-compilation. So yeah, you're gonna have those once you jump into the game. You might as well just let them do their work, and then you could continue with your gameplay. And just kill this guy here. Okay, he's dead. Now, as you can see, our GPU usage is all the way up to almost 100%, which is good. That means we're utilizing the most of our GPU. Can you guys just stop spawning? Let me just kill all of these guys first. There we go. And let's do our FPS counter. The FPS is around the 40s to 50s in this area, which for me is an intensive area. I chose this area for benchmarking just because this is like worst case scenario for you guys. And as you can see, it's around 40s to 50s. So now we're gonna go mess around with DLSS. Go back to settings, and we are gonna move this all the way to performance. Or actually, I'll start with quality. There we go. So for quality, we are getting to 50s, 60s, or you could say 50s, like high 50s to around 60 sometimes. And our GPU usage already dropped, so I would say that's a good thing, because sometimes when the game gets more intensive, you will need that bit of headroom for your GPU usage. For the VRAM, we have 7 GB of allocated space and around 6 of actual VRAM usage. So what we'll do now, if you've done all of this that I've showed in the video, or if you followed the DLSS override guide, which basically just updates your DLSS versions for this game, once you put this on performance mode, you get a notice that graphically the game doesn't look any different from literally native, like, which is so like crazy. I would say this is some DLSS magic at this point. And for our performance, it didn't get that much better because in this scenario we are very much CPU bottlenecked. As you can see, the GPU usage dropped much more. Like it was almost 100% on DLAA, and then it dropped to 90% on DLSS quality, and now it's around 70s to 80% on DLSS performance, which really means that our CPU is holding back our GPU in this situation, which is to be expected. We're using a Ryzen 5 3600. At this point, this CPU is very much a weak CPU. It does the job for most games, but for this game, you need something better. You need a better CPU for this game. Anyway, I just wanted you guys to see what big a difference updating your DLSS to the latest version brings. Now, if you've been following the DLSS updates, I think DLSS 4.5, the upscaler, looks better than the older version, which is I think 4.1 or 4. But it also doesn't give you that much of a FPS boost. So let's say DLSS 4 gives you around 10 FPS increase once you drop to quality. On DLSS 4.5 you only get about 5 FPS increase for well, a trade-off of just slightly better quality. Now let's go into this gate. So now we're inside this gate, and already the FPS has gone up. So yeah, depending on where you are, you're gonna notice some differences in performance. We're around 80 FPS now.
I never thought I'd see another friendly face. The others.
Okay.
Take Captain Matthias sent us in to try and close. I managed to. I'm gonna. You're right.
Okay. So we have around 80 FPS in here, 70s to 80 FPS. With a few stutters, of course. This is an Unreal Engine 5 game. So yeah, for anyone who has the same graphics card but a better CPU, let me know in the comments. Like, does the game perform well for you with these settings, with updated DLSS, or does it just perform well without any updates in general? Anyway, that was it for this video. I'll see you guys in the next one, and please leave any comments in the comment section. Like, I really want to know what other games you want to see with this, because so far I've only tried Oblivion. And thank you guys for watching.